Believe it or not, I'm not going to say something in this video like number 5, spamming. Because there are playstyles and overall strategies in fighting games that are simply part of the game, and whether it's extra keep away, extreme rushdown, it is there to be used and it's fully intentional. What I want to talk about today are cases that a player could use certain techniques that are either not intended or sometimes taking advantage of something that gives them an edge, whether it's graphics, shortcuts, easy infinites, things that definitely aren't cheating but are definitely questionable. My name is Ketchup, and these are 5 dirty tactics that a player can use to win in Mortal Kombat. Starting off with Cyrax in Mortal Kombat 9, you most likely remember this character for being super top tier the whole time. Guaranteed reset combos that can destroy an entire life bar for a single hit, using the net's restand to guarantee a meaty bomb underneath the opponent, turning one combo into 2 absolutely guaranteed. It is very powerful, and it's the main reason that Cyrax is a top 3 character, among other things of course. One thing about Cyrax is that early on, he was even more broken if you'd believe it. The most infamous technique, commonly referred to as the bomb trap, was something that involved his one-button command grab. Yeah, Cyrax had a command grab. The window to tech that throw was shorter on launch as well, but that's not even the point here. It is that when this command grab would hit, there was enough time on hit to perform a bomb special, dash in, and then jail the opponent into the guaranteed explosion. It resulted in a full combo because of a hard to tech, hard to react to grab, and add this to everything else the character had, it was ridiculously powerful, as I'm sure you would assume. The dirty tactic of this grab came from after this technique was actually removed. In the same patch that removed this from Cyrax, they released a classic MK3 costume for Cyrax, Sector, and Cyber Sub-Zero. The problem is, at the time these costumes were out there, the Cyrax costume was actually still using the old version of Cyrax, leaving this broken grab technique in the game when it definitely wasn't supposed to be there. Now, it is hard to find any video of this because it was before the days of all the YouTube stuff, but basically you would fight people online purposefully using this costume just so they had access to the pre-patch command grab stuff, leading into the full combo that was not supposed to be in the game anymore. Thankfully, it wasn't in the game for long and was swiftly removed, but using a new costume just to get a broken pre-patch situation, that is definitely a dirty tactic. Mortal Kombat X had a bunch of wild stuff in the game. It was one of the more extreme cases of every character has something that's kind of busted. It made the game fun, and it meant that no character was truly worthless, especially by the end. However, there was still something in the game that a few select players would occasionally use because, well, I mean, just look at it for a second. Mortal Kombat X added new costumes every time a new character was added to the game. When the guest character, Predator, made his debut, there was a Commando Johnny Cage, a Carl Weathers Jax. I mean, these costumes were awesome, especially the Carl Weathers skin. But there was one costume that, even in its debut, made players concerned, and that was Infrared Scorpion. An obvious homage to the infrared vision that Predator is known for in the movies and comics, this skin simulated that effect for an entire character, and Scorpion being the poster boy for most of the franchise, I mean, it made sense that he would sport this outfit. But without even having to tell you, this costume was clearly difficult on the eyes, even on a standard stage. But where it gets even worse is that this game had the Sky Temple. It had rain effects, a dark setting, flashing lightning. It already made the Sky Temple the least favored stage in the game, but then you add Infrared Scorpion into the mix, and this character just became extremely hard to keep track of, and was straight up unpleasant to fight against. Would you believe it? It got even worse if the player unlocked the Corrupted Sky Temple, which was a redone version with red effects and even more visual obstruction. So either version of the Sky Temple plus Infrared Scorpion was a combo that we saw online just too many times, in my opinion, and picking a combination of skin plus stage to make your character harder to focus on, with a character that's already run-cancelling you to death or teleporting around, that's certainly an experience I'd rather forget. Mortal Kombat 4 is a fairly universal fighting game. What I mean by that is, combo strings are universal, as are the basic attacks like an uppercut, a sweep, high punch, low punch. So if anything is broken in this game, it usually has to come from special moves. Which brings me to Mortal Kombat 4's example of a dirty tactic. In at least the arcade version of this game, there is a technique you can perform where, when the round begins, for a split second, you can't block. You can press other buttons, but you can't block for some reason, and this is for a very short time. Now, it does appear to be character-specific and even matchup-specific in a lot of instances, but the short of it is, if you have a move that goes forward fast enough, in the right matchup, this advancing move cannot be blocked the moment the round starts. I'm talking Raiden Superman, Liu Kang Flying Kick, the Tanya Drill, Reiko's Flip Kick, Jarek Kano Ball, Sonya Leg Grab, Sub Slide. I mean, if it goes fast enough in the right matchup, these moves can't be blocked when the round begins. In a game where, if it were known back in the day, is taking free damage for a game that you just put money into to play. So I do remember being told about this a while back that while some players did know about it, it was generally a common courtesy to not use this exploit. But seriously, starting the round and eating a full combo before you've even had a chance to start playing yourself, that's rough. And if it were ever used, or if MK4 came back with online play one day, I'm fairly certain we'd see this a lot more. MK vs DC Universe was the final 3D entry to the franchise, and it used the same online system that the previous games did, as, don't forget, Deception and Armageddon also had online play. The issue with MK vs DC is that it had its share of easy-to-perform, but very practical infinites. They functioned in such a way that these infinites were common to encounter when you played the game during matchmaking, ranked, whatever really. The first one is Superman Ground Pound Infinite, something I covered recently, actually. It's very simple, and it is as easy as it looks. An unblockable full-screen ground pound paired with its second hit, that was the attack's pro move, had enough hit stun to perform another ground pound with the pro move to create an infinite combo that ended the round the moment you got hit by it. Now the second one is the Flash, who was already a top 3 character even without this. But the Flash Infinite involved hitting his spin attack, teleporting behind them, and looping a specific combo back into the spin once again. It creates a true infinite. These infinite combos built such a tiny amount of meter for the opponent that building a combo breaker to escape this was a rare occurrence, and this infinite was actually a reason the Flash was considered being banned in tournament many years ago. It is probably the simplest example in this video because I remember playing this game online when I was a kid, and I remember constantly bumping into Superman players or Flash players and dealing with these infinites all the time. They came from moves that are very likely to hit, moves core to the character's overall design, and if the opponent knew what these infinites were, it created an extremely not fun experience. It just made you wish the game saw some patches or something to get some of this stuff out of there. But sadly, as it has been well documented, this was around the time that Midway, as a company, would shut down, so any future support this game would have had went with it. So, the infinites remain, and can be experienced just as badly, even to this day. Our final example today belongs to the earlier 3D Mortal Kombat games, particularly games like Deadly Alliance and Deception. All of these games were known for having some broken stuff in there, and it was just the way it was with a new style of game at a time where competitive really wasn't a thing around the world for Mortal Kombat, certainly not like anything today. However, amidst the crazy combos and free throws and OTG situation, there was one tactic that was truly the dirtiest of tactics, and that is doing something specific to allow your character to move before the round has begun. Much worse than MK4, and it turns out there's a few ways you can do this, as documented online on various websites. So we're just going to demonstrate this in Deadly Alliance to show the basics, but by disconnecting your controller before the round has started and reconnecting it, you can just move around. You can even hit the opponent, and there is nothing they can do about it. There's nothing else to add here, either. You can just move around to your heart's content and start the round before the opponent does. It is hilariously cheap. Now, this trick exists somewhat in Deception as well, only the controller disconnect trick doesn't work the same way offline, but simply pausing the game, holding an input on your D-pad and unpausing allows one free movement. So just do this a few times and be right up close. It's not as bad as the Deadly Alliance one, but it's still pretty ridiculous. But I said offline in regards to the pause trick in Deception, because there are stories of people doing the old Deadly Alliance trick of unplugging and reconnecting to move online during the Deception online play. I found some old forum posts of people being like, "What the hell's going on? Why is my opponent moving and hitting me before we've started the match?" It's essentially the same thing, only much worse because now it's a real opponent doing it. Honestly, of all of the examples in today's video, I have to say I find this one by far the worst because it's both hilarious and game-breakingly cheap. And that's our list of 5 dirty tactics that a player can use to win in Mortal Kombat games. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and stick around for more MK content to come. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.